So you just got to remember, like, reinventing the wheel will 100% slow you down. You should copy before you create. And I don't mean to plagiarize. I just mean to pattern. I just want you to pattern me. Just duplicate the pattern. Everything that's great has already been done. So just do that stuff again. If someone's already found the road, don't waste your time bushwhacking through the woods. So your job is not to necessarily, your job is not to recreate the wheel. Maybe just smooth the rough edges of the wheel that you were initially shown. Your job is to execute. Once you've earned the reps, then you can tweak it.
Welcome to DFW Grit. I'm Dr. James Taylor and I'm your host, and this is more than just a podcast. We dive into the stories of the movers, the shakers, the small business owners, the entrepreneurs, right here in the DFW Metroplex. This is your home for authentic, real stories that prove what happens when you don't back down. Let's get to work.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of DFW Grit. As always, I'm your host, Dr. James Taylor. Today, I talk about coaching quite regularly on this, and this one's going to be similar but different because as I progress through this this podcast thing, this business thing, this chiropractic thing, this life thing, as much as I have fought against being a coach, I'm making more and more of a realization that shit, I am a coach. Begrudgingly, but I don't know, like if I want to grow, if I want to scale, whether it be the business thing or the parent thing or whatever, I am a coach. I'm going to have to tell people how to do what it is that I want them to do in a certain way that I want to do it. So today, I want to talk to you about being coachable because I have both been I am wonderful at being coachable, but I have also been terrible at being coachable. So, what does it take? What does it take to be coachable? Like, for literally the fastest way to win, shoot, or lose is your ability to be coachable, right? So success leaves clues. It really does. And not to toot my own horn, but I am pretty successful. I've got a wonderful chiropractic operation here. I am a budding landlord, if you will. I got a great family. Man, I am by all measures, I have reached a certain level of success. So, as much as it would pain my younger self to hear my older self say this, I kind of know what I'm doing. And the reason it would pain my younger self to hear that is because my younger self was told that by plenty of other people. And my younger self didn't listen. So, let's talk about being coachable. Dude, I had a plan, man. I had a good plan. I had a plan that I put thought and effort into, that I had researched, both looking at what worked, what didn't work, what I have done, what I didn't do, things like that. I had a plan. And like I said, it was a good plan. I had a solid plan laid out because I've done this. I've done this for 11, 12, over a decade. I've done this thing for over a decade. And not only did I have a plan, but part of the plan was I had done something else and it didn't work. So myself and my most recent associate both recently agreed mutually to part ways. And the reason being was, man, that it just wasn't following through. He wasn't following the plan. He wasn't following the plan for growth that a successful person had laid out for them. Okay. And it's not about blame, it's about coachability, because I've grown this thing. I've done it, right? And I basically, hey, here's how this was done. And it just, man, we talked and we met repeatedly, and he wasn't following the plan. And it kind of came to fruition that he basically wanted to end up practicing in a way different than the way that I practice, which is totally fine. I tell patients this all the time. One of the great things about chiropractic is there are so many different ways to do it. One of the downfalls of chiropractic is there are so many different ways to do it. And that's just from a chiropractic standpoint, that's from a treatment standpoint. But when you're entering a practice that has a track record of success, not only a track record of success, not to toot my own horn, but toot, a track record of greater success than the vast majority of chiropractors, it would behoove somebody not to follow that plan. So, what happens when you're not coachable? What's the fastest way to success? Follow somebody who's already successful. It kind of sounds, no, it doesn't sound bad. To submit to the way that the successful person does things. So, what does it mean to be coachable? Coachability isn't just about listening, it's about humility. And again, that would pain younger James Taylor to hear. It's about humility, it's about trust, and it's about action, following those actionable steps versus having this know it all energy. Which the thing is, too, like, I was once a young man. I still feel like a young man, depending on the activity. A little double entendre there. But it's, it's about being coachable versus having that know it all energy. And I certainly had that I still do have that know it all energy from time to time. But when I am taking advice from somebody that I see as a mentor, I take that advice really well. I don't take it with a grain of salt. I go all in. Like I said earlier, I am wonderfully coachable. Also, I am a persistent man of action, especially when the action that's been given to me comes from somebody that I want to be like or somebody that I want to emulate in some way, shape, or form. Like if you want to go fast, follow somebody who's already won the race. It's super simple. If you want to go fast, follow somebody who's already won the race. I mean, it's a bit of a tongue twister, but also, duh, duh. If you're going to run the same race that somebody else has already done, it would make sense to listen to that person, right? They know the pitfalls, they know the fast lines through the corners and things like that. They know where the trouble spots are. But at the same time, like if you're sitting there going through, like, no, I know I've got access to this information, but I'm not going to use it. That's not being coachable. It's kind of being stubborn. And being stubborn is okay because being stubborn will help you learn too. You might learn the hard way, but you're going to learn. And I'll tell you, I've learned the hard way many a time. Hell, this podcast in and of itself was is me being coachable. Because those of you that are listening to this, I'm assuming a grand majority of you found this through my chiropractic space, but there's going to be people out there who have not, who stumbled upon this in some way, shape, or form, other than through the office here. And thank you for that. That's a wonderful stroke of luck. But what this is me being coachable. This podcast has brought revenue to the office. Hell, this office has brought listeners to this podcast. And at the same time, this podcast has given other people a platform to do awesome things. And what do? They think of James Taylor, and when they need a chiropractor or because again, this podcast makes no money. This podcast is simply a creative outlet. But when they need a chiropractor, then they come to James Taylor. When their friends need chiropractors, their family needs chiropractors, they come to James Taylor, which is awesome. Because who would think that a podcast about business would bring patients to a chiropractor? My coach did. It turns out he was right. Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Lacey. Appreciate you guys. But again, like a good coach will shorten the gap between where you are and where you want to be. And that, I'll tell you what, won't shorten that gap, trying to figure it out on your own. So I had this plan. It was going to work. I know it was because I've done it, because I've run that race. Every big leap I've made, either personally or professionally, came from willing to be led, came from willing to be coachable. Now, the frustration with coaching, though, is trying to coach people who don't want to be coached. There's, this one hurts to say because I've lived on both sides of it. There's nothing more exhausting than trying to lead someone who thinks they already know. Sorry, Frank Taylor. My bad, Dad. But hey, look, I finally figured it out. Maybe because I'll probably make the same mistake again in the future. But it is super frustrating to have a plan that you've laid out, not just through conscious thought, but through experience, and then to deliver that plan, and then have somebody go, nah, well, we're gonna do it my way. You don't have any experience to have your way. Short and sweet. You don't have any experience to have your way. So why not just do it the way that's already worked? See, the plan wasn't perfect, but it was certainly proven. And it was proven because I'm the one who proved it, and then I'm the one who wrote it. So when someone like resists every step, they second guess everything you got going on. They keep trying to remix the system. And again, I can't say this enough. I'm not saying this from a place of blame. I'm saying this from a place of experience, both trying to be the coach and being the coach. The coached. It's a sign they're not ready. I've said in past episodes, this place is wonderfully successful, but it could have been successful much faster. And the reason it could have been successful faster is if I was more coachable. If I did all of the things that I was told to do, as opposed to the things that I wanted to do. If I did all the things, I'd be further along than where I am right now. Hell, this podcast might have been made years ago because I would have had trouble coaching then, as opposed to having trouble coaching now. But again, I'm new to coaching. Like I started off, I was resistant to coaching from the standpoint of me being the coach. That's part of management that I'm finding out apparently the hard way is I am a coach. I'm certainly a huge proponent of coaches. I love them. I've had many, but I was like, I'm not gonna be a coach. I'm the anti-coach, if you will. You should get one, but it shouldn't be me. I want you to listen to me. I want you to take my advice from this podcast standpoint. But if you do or don't, it means nothing to me because I'm not having to coach you through this stuff. This is simply, like I said, one, a creative outlet, but two, hopefully a place where you will learn more by accident than elsewhere by design. But as I'm going along here, again, life will keep repeating lessons until you learn it. Well, learned it twice now. Maybe I'll get it eventually. So you just got to remember, like reinventing the wheel will 100% slow you down. You should copy before you create. And I don't mean to plagiarize. I just mean to pattern. I just want you to pattern me. I'm sure my coaches have had the same thought, maybe the exact same words. Just duplicate the pattern. Everything that's great has already been done. So just do that stuff again. The path is laid out before you, and it's incredibly simple if you just literally stop trying to tweak it, he said to himself in the mirror. If someone's already found the road, don't waste your time bushwhacking through the woods. So whether it's business, whether it's parent, there are good business people and bad business people. There are good parents and bad parents. Hell, there are things that we have with our own parents that were good and that were bad. There are things that we are absolutely duplicating, and there are things that we will never do because we saw what didn't work. So your job is not to necessarily, you know, your job is not to recreate the wheel. Maybe just smooth the rough edges of the wheel that you were initially shown. But again, follow the plan to create the rough draft of the wheel. Your job is to execute. Once you've earned the reps, then you can tweak it. So like one of the things that we do here in the office is I have certain scripts that I follow. Now, why do I have scripts? Because I've got certain things I want to hit on that I make sure every patient knows. My exam is a script. I want you to know that I've read your paperwork. I want you to know that I understand your problem. Now, it's not an exact script because you might come in with low back pain and the next person might come in with a headache. That can't be the exact same script. But I want to make sure I cover everything that we're doing. I want to make sure you understand why we take x-rays in the office. I want to make sure you understand what the adjustment is going to feel like and what it's going to do. And I want you to understand how you might feel as the day goes on or into the next day or between our next visits. That is a script. That's an outline that I follow with every single patient. You got to have some kind of a script. But then, like I said, once you get it nailed down, then you can tweak it. You can tweak it to match the patient that sits in front of you. You can tweak it to manage the kid that sits in front of you or the staff member. But there's still outlines and stuff that you got to nail down first. So there are also signs that you might not be coachable. Do you argue with feedback? That's not being coachable. Because where's the feedback coming from? Odds are probably the coach. Do you look for loopholes instead of doing the work? Do you ignore proven systems because you've got a better way, even though you've got no experience to base that better way off of? If that's you, I mean, there's no shame in it because that has absolutely been me. But shit, it's time to grow the hell up. And sometimes, even as we're growing up, we need to grow the hell up. So, being coachable isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of wisdom. Sometimes I've been wise, sometimes I've been dumb. I'll be dumb again, but hopefully I'll be wise more often than not. I'll give myself a little grace to slide back into the dumb zone. Success is boring. You got to remember that because it's repetitive. You just do the same things over and over again as long as they work. The ones that don't work, throw them to the side. And just go back and do that other successful thing over and over again. It's following a recipe until you've mastered the entire kitchen. So whether you're hiring someone, whether you're trying to be hired, being coachable will always give you the edge. Listening will always give you the edge. If someone gives you a plan, follow the plan. It'll give you an edge. Because then you're not having to just go through it blindly, go through the dark all on your own. At least you've got some sort of guidance, some sort of map. So that's it in a nutshell. I love coaching. I love being coached. I love fighting against coaches from time to time. And as much as I've fought against being a coach, I think I'm going to have to warm up to the idea of being called Coach Taylor. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. So, if this resonated with you, whether you are a coach or you are the coached, just sit back, just go over the plan real quick from a non-biased point and think of the source. If you trust the source, you should probably trust the plan. If you're the source, stick to your plan. Because like I said, we parted ways mutually. And I've said in past episodes, like, it sucks to fire people. It really does. And I don't necessarily see this as a firing. I see it as a separation. And it was wonderfully smooth. It still hurt. It sucks to see him go. But it was the smoothest separation I've ever had. And the reason was because I had a plan and an outline and it wasn't being followed. So cool. This isn't going to work then. And we agreed and we went our separate ways. And it was a lot easier than any other separation I've ever had. But because I had the plan. So, as always, like, share, follow. While you're at it, be coachable. If you're a coach, stick to your guns. And for the second time this episode, I hope you learned here more by accident than elsewhere by design. Do you like this posture? I'm digging this posture. I feel very relaxed. See, that's the only thing I do like. In the past, I've been up here like this. Nope, not today. Today's pretty chill. I'm pretty chill. I like that about me. You guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening, as always. And share with your friends. If you want to be on here, if you got something you want to chat about, by all means, slide into our DM, shoot us an email. I'd be glad to have you. I'm way ahead of schedule. I've got interviews stacked up for the next 2 months waiting to come out. So that's pretty sweet. You know why? Because I'm coachable, or at least in this respect. You guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you on the next episode here of DFW Grit.